In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a lower control arm on a Honda CR-V, which is located behind the front wheel. After you raised and supported your vehicle safely, you have 5 lug nuts. These are 19mm lug nuts. You need to remove those. Take your wheel off, put it off to the side. That is a 36mm nut. Ours is heavily rusted. That's what it's supposed to look like. You can heat this up with a torch. You can air chisel it. Whatever you need to do to get this off, you need to remove that. I'm going to use the air chisel. And there's your nut. Once you get your axle nut off, you want to move that axle inward. What I do is I take a ball peen hammer, put it in the middle, and just tap it. This is your ball joint. This is the pin. You need to remove your pin from your nut. That's your pin. Now you need to remove this nut. That nut is a 19mm. That's your nut. Put that off to the side. To remove your ball joint from your knuckle, you can use a tool like this. Hooks around the lower control arm. Take a long pry bar and pull that down. Push your knuckle off to the side. Push your knuckle out of the way. Take your axle out of your wheel bearing and knuckle and just put it off to the side. You can install your axle nut onto your axle where it's nice and flush. I have this ratchet strapped to the lift. I want to get this to be pushed away so you can work and you don't have to hold it. You just have to watch out for your brake hose. So you have a 12mm bolt right here for your brake hose bracket. Remove that, then you can ratchet strap this off to the side and you have plenty of room to work. Take your hose, push it off to the side. Ratchet strap that off to the side. Now you have plenty of room for your lower control arm to be removed. You can take your axle, slide it out of the way here, strap it up off to the side. Now you have even more room to do your lower control arm. Your lower control arm has 2 19mm bolts for the front. You need to remove those. After removing your 2 front lower control arm bolts, you can disconnect your axle. You can swing that down. And also you can unratchet your rotor, because you're going to have to get into the back here. We're now underneath the vehicle. You have 2 14mm bolts for your rearward part of your lower control arm. You need to remove those. This is a tech tip for you. The reasoning why I left these 2 bolts last is because now the control arm is loose from the cradle. And you see this bolt here is real tight up against the frame here. It's hard to get to. But if you take a pry bar now that everything is loose, push that away from that. You can stick a piece of wood in here just to hold it. Take your 2 12mm bolts out. Now you can take your piece of wood out. Now you can install your ratchet strap back. Ratchet your rotor out of the way. Slide your control arm out. And there's your old control arm. Before you install your new lower control arm, you're going to have to remove this bracket, which is mounted onto the front part of the lower control arm. Just can lift up, slide out, that, push down. At this point, you can take your axle, tie it up out of the way again. Before we install our lower control arm, our surfaces here have a bunch of debris. You can clean that with a wire brush. This is only going to help you when you go to install it. It'll slide on a little bit easier for you. Same thing back here. Now it's time to install your lower control arm. You can slide it onto your cradle back here. Unstrap your axle. Let that hang down. Now you can unratchet strap your rotor. Push that off to the side. Put your two 12mm bolts in your bracket. Tighten those down. Torque those down to 16 foot-pounds. Now you can strap your rotor back, pull it out of the way. Put your axle up, tie it off to the side. Slide your control arm over its holes. Install your two bolts. Just want to tighten these by hand first. Now it's time to install your 14mm bolts. I'm underneath the vehicle. This is the control arm to your cradle. 14mm bolts, start those by hand. Give those a snug. And you want to torque those two down at 44 foot-pounds. Now it's time to tighten your two 19mm bolts on your front side of your control arm. And you want to torque those two bolts down to 83 foot-pounds. You can unstrap your axle, unstrap your knuckle, take your axle nut off. Let's get ready to put your axle back into your knuckle. Swing your knuckle out, take your axle, put it through the hole, make sure the splines go through. Remove your lower ball joint nut, pull down your lower control arm, swing your knuckle in, put your nut back on your ball joint. After it goes through the hole of the knuckle, now you can tighten your lower ball joint nut. Now if you have a crow's foot, you can adapt it to your torque wrench. That nut gets torqued down to 51 foot-pounds. If you do not have a crow's foot, you can just tighten it down snug. Make sure your hole on your stud is lined up with your hole on your nut so you can put your cotter pin through. Take your axle nut, install it onto your axle. That is a 36mm nut. Tighten that up. Now when it comes time to torque your axle nut, this is going to want to spin. Your rotor is just going to want to spin. So you can do this one of two ways. You can have a friend sit in your driver's seat, put his foot on the brake, that way this locks. Or if you don't have somebody to help you, you can put a pry bar like that. Put your socket on. Pry bar is going to hold on to your wheel studs. Now you can just torque your nut. This torque is 242 foot-pounds. $12mm bolt for your brake hose. Install that. And that also gets torqued down to 16 foot-pounds. After you have your axle nut torqued down, you can have this little keyway here. Take a punch, put it onto the nut, and just pin that down into the keyway. Take your wheel, slide it over your lug nut studs, Install your lug nuts by hand. Give those a snug. After you lowered your vehicle and your tire is on the ground, you want to torque these lug nuts at 80 foot-pounds. You want to do that in a star pattern. Make sure after you do any suspension piece, you go and you get a front end alignment.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.